Thank you. Welcome, everybody. I'd like to call to order the meeting for our board meeting for this month. We'll start with the salute to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Patinsky? Here. Mrs. Longren? Here. Mrs. Jagan? Here. Mr. Cormack?
Here.
Mr. Kaufman?
Here.
Mr. Merkle-Dum?
Here.
Mrs. Rash?
Here.
Mr. Reno? Here. And Mr. Williams?
Here. Thank you. Moving right along to the President's report. I want to again thank you all for attending. You had a nice summer. Everybody who's watching on TV, appreciate it. It has been a busy year at Pennridge. Although it seems like a shutdown in the summer, our administrative and facilities team have been hard at work preparing for the new year. You may not also be aware, but we also provide continuing education at South Middle School. Over the summer, I enjoyed visiting South Middle School to see our extended school year, English language learner, and enrichment programs in action. We offer more than a half dozen programs for students of all ages that include a wide variety of fun and educational activities, including sessions on arts, crafts, music, and STEM-related themes. Several camps help students maintain and strengthen academic, social, and behavioral skills over the summer break. I'm a strong supporter of these programs where it helps students whom the long summer break would affect most. Learning loss varies by students, and Pennridge provides excellent programs to help those in need. I would like to thank all the administrators, teachers, and support staff who helped our students this summer. We appreciate your efforts. On the facility side, we're very busy. As usual, our buildings and grounds are in immaculate shape. We should be very proud of our facilities, and I thank all of you who are committed to keeping them in such great condition. Some more things on the facility side. We have received feedback from our students that our bathroom stalls do not provide enough privacy. We are now piloting a new design in our high school bathrooms that were installed over the summer by our staff that give more privacy to our students. We'll review the feedback on this year and determine the next steps. I'm also very excited to share the news that we are piloting air conditioning in one of our elementary schools. We have looked at this repeatedly over the years, but the multi-million-dollar cost kept us from moving forward. We estimated it might cost around $30 to $40 million, which I don't think the taxpayers would be very happy about. So having a comfortable environment at school fosters better learning and instruction. Our superintendent, Mr. Barry, suggested a much lower cost solution, a portable floor air conditioner. We are currently piloting a program which involves equipping 7 classrooms at Seiler Elementary School. We will closely monitor the pilot, and if successful, we look to roll it out as soon as possible. I actually stopped by Seiler today and noticed a distinct difference in classrooms. Certainly the humidity was significantly less. It wasn't the hottest day yet this year. They all said, wait till Wednesday and we'll know for sure how it's going to work out. But I think it'll help make excessive heat days a little more manageable. It's not a complete solution, but given that we only have 2 weeks or 4 weeks of hot weather, it seems like a good balance, and it's much more cost effective. Several parents and community members often ask us, Angela and I and all the board, about the possibility of full-day kindergarten. Mr. Barris and his team will launch a feasibility study this year, which will explore classroom utilization, space, and the cost centered on this initiative. This is another exciting opportunity we are pursuing that will benefit our students and our parents. I'm pleased to report that the administration is planning an evening program regarding mental health and mental health resources. I believe it is a program worthwhile for our parents, guardians, and children at the Pennridge School District, as children nationwide combat mental health challenges. The goal of a mental health resource program is to touch on what is mental health and why it's so important. Our social workers have planned a meeting with different resources across Bucks County with the intent to provide meaningful tools for supporting wellness and sharing accessible services for our children and families. As I said before, I believe having solid metrics on our performance is critical to making targeted improvements. There are two areas I would like to share tonight. The first is an update on our teacher resignations, which is a barometer of job satisfaction. I had shown this graph earlier this year, but it's updated now to include the statistics for 2024. The red line, if you can't see it, is teacher resignations. The blue line is retirements. As you can see, our resignations are back at a level they were 4 to 5 years ago, after a huge spike these last 2 years. I believe this is a good sign that we're returning to a more stable workforce, something critical to our success. This metric also evidences solid retention. The second metric I would like to share tonight is absenteeism. This is a 5-year average of the attendance rates at our elementary, middle, and high schools. You can see a decrease in attendance during the COVID period. You can also see the rebound in our elementary and middle schools, back to pre-pandemic levels. What concerns me most is the attendance rate at our high school. Attendance is a key factor in our success, and we will continue to focus on this issue. However, this is an area where parents also play a role. We need your help too. Almost done. I think that was it. Anyway, the last thing I wanted to touch on was to hope you have a successful year, and we look forward to all the challenges that we face, and we are committed to working collaboratively with our students and our teachers to make sure the school is successful. And after that, I will move on to Superintendent.
Thank you, Mr. Wirtz. Okay, so welcome back, everyone. I want to start my superintendent's report by recognizing a few folks from our community and the Pennridge, a couple of Pennridge employees. If you could advance the screen, I'd appreciate it. So on the screen, we lost a student a couple weeks ago, a former student, Jesse Owens. I've never met Jesse, but a fantastic young person by all accounts. And he lost his life while he was working in an accident. And there will be a memorial service for Jesse this weekend, and we'll push out some information about this tragic loss. In the middle of this slide is an image of an employee named Donna McGee. She was a teaching assistant at Central Middle School. And another employee, Kimberly Clunan, who was a teaching assistant first at West Rock Hill Elementary and then Bedminster Elementary, and happened to be a neighbor of mine as well. And just all fantastic people that left us too soon. So I would respectfully request if we could just bow our heads for a few moments of silence in their memory. Thank you very much. Our thoughts and prayers go out to their families and loved ones. So today was a very, very exciting day. I'll try to switch gears, but today was a very exciting day. It was our opening of school, and we have some images before you of our young people holding up signs throughout. We also had the opportunity to ride a bus. Miss Maria Huff, she's become a fixture here. She's one of our fantastic bus drivers, and a few members of the cabinet and I rode the bus run. It went through East Rock Hill, and you can see it was just a very, very energizing, nice moment. There's a young man who's fell asleep on the bus, which was fantastic. But it was truly remarkable to go through our outstanding community and see the families and families sending kindergartners to school for the first time, and it was just a really, really special moment. So I wanted to share that with our community. Next up, last week I was in the office with Mr. Dalbert, the Chief Operating Officer, and Ms. Chenoweth knocked on the door. She said the Bucks County Treasurer called and she has a check for a certain amount of money, and I said, best call I've received all summer. So wait, no money, and I know on the agenda that says donation. It's actually a refund, and there's an article that you can read about this. But we have Miss Ballerini with us this evening. She's the Bucks County Treasurer. If you'd like to come forward, please.
Thank you. That is a common comment as I'm going around to school districts, that it's the best call they got through the summer. My name's Chris Ballerini. I'm your Bucks County Treasurer. And my job, really, as the treasurer, is to safeguard our tax dollars, right? So you remit your taxes to your tax collector, and the tax collector then sends it into my office. We use that in the general fund to provide services to our residents, and then the excess on a daily basis we invest overnight and put that back to the bottom line. And that's my role as treasurer. But in the fall of 2020, the commissioners passed a resolution naming me director of the Tax Claim Bureau. Tax Claim Bureau has a very different role. We collect the delinquent taxes for people that haven't paid their taxes, and the job really is to get those properties back onto the tax rolls and get those dollars back in. Well, when I took that department over, it came to my attention that there were 2 bank accounts at that time that had been opened in 2003, and the dollar amounts on those balances were roughly $800,000. And one of the accounts with the $247,000 in there has remained since 2003. So at that time, I started really digging in. It took me 3 years of my first term. I'm now in my second term. 3 years of reconstructing, reconciling, piecing it together. The beautiful thing about government is we keep everything forever in perpetuity. So I had a lot of the check stubs. I was able to identify in one of the larger accounts that a lot of the cases were tied up in litigation. So I hired outside counsel. We got those cases moving through the courts so that we then could return the parcels back to the tax rolls. But it still left us with $347,000 unidentified. As much as I tried, I couldn't figure out where it went or where it was supposed to go. However, according to the tax law, it's called RETSL, we call it Real Estate Tax Sale Law, you are allowed to give the money back to the taxing authorities, which is your municipality, the school district, and the county. So I looked at the dollar amount, and I was with my solicitor. I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like, if we could split the money up, everybody could at least get a stop sign. And I kept saying, I could be like Oprah and just say, you get a stop sign and you get a stop sign. And he got really quiet. He said, I think you're onto something. So we petitioned the court. We compiled all of the work that I had done. We petitioned the court. We asked them about a fair and equitable distribution back to the taxing authorities. We used a millage rate from 2021, and I'm so pleased that the court agreed with that idea. So it is my pleasure to offer you these funds. It is to be used at your discretion. There are no forms you have to fill out. There are no hoops you have to jump through. Here's a surprise from your government. There's no red tape that you have to cut through. You just get the check. And it is in the amount of $14,805.39. So there you are. Thank you very much. Oh, wonderful.
It is sealed, it's safeguarded, it's sealed. I should have brought the big one.
That's okay.
I brought it to another one and then we didn't take the picture and I
We'll
thought
take
it's
the
kind
one we
of
can take to the
silly.
back. We're good.
Yes, which is this one.
There you go.
All right. Yeah, you're so welcome.
1, 2, 3.
Thank you. It was so frustrating. My poor husband watched daily, like, yeah, it was quite a thing.
Well, Ms. Ballerini, if you do any more audits, we're always here. We meet the last Monday of every month. Gladly accept any additional refunds. I think I'll just stay down here for the remainder of this report. So if you look at the screen, we had a very, very busy summer. As Mr. Wers shared, we had our various summer camps. Our buildings are in top spick and span condition. There's an image there of one of our staff up on a ladder cleaning. And it's just been, our very own Chester, he's there doing laptop pickup, and there are a lot of things go on behind the scenes during the school. And we also worked on the Rams report, which I believe hit mailboxes last Monday. And that was a comprehensive snapshot of the things happening here at the Pennridge School District. Can you go to the next slide, please? And here's some summer construction projects. So we had new asphalt put on this campus that you drove on tonight. We have new signage in various parts of this campus, and the Grass Elementary kitchen renovation project is about buttoned up. I believe we have a conclusion on September 3rd. So we actually, Mr. Palmer and I went over there today to check on progress, and things are just about wrapped up. Also, throughout the summer, we had several meetings. You see an administrative meeting up on the top left, and just transportation and other departmental meetings that we get together to plan for the upcoming school year. The board conference room received a slight update. You see a nice stone accent wall there with some signage. All the work was done in-house, and some painting with proper Pennridge colors there. And we're delighted to share. So here you have the RAM report. Can we go on to that, Mr. House? Yes.
Good evening, everyone. Just wanted to give you an update on the Rams report. Hopefully everyone in the room got their copy. It was a comprehensive effort that we started in April and May, I believe, with several different variations, making sure that we had as much information as we could to make sure that our taxpayers, our residents, got all the information from throughout the year. We did change the model. It's now going to be an annual report that comes out in the summer that does kind of talk about the year that was. So that'll be something that everyone can look forward to next summer when we conclude this coming school year. We also had the opportunity to start a new newsletter called the Pennridge Pulse. That'll be released tomorrow. This is also going to be an all-digital newsletter that we give to our staff, to our students, our parents, our residents, to kind of tell them a little bit about what happens over the summer. There's that misconception that nothing happens in the school district over the summer. That could not be less the case. We have a lot going on, so we have little articles about that. Can kind of tell everybody from the inside, hey, this is what we do, this is why how everything gets going, and this will be released tomorrow. You might have noticed our presentation, the slides tonight had a different look to them. This is another thing that we did over the summer in the communication department. Mr. Barrios asked that if we have a more legitimate look, if anyone represents the Pennridge School District, public presentations, we wanted to make sure our branding was out there. So the new logo that was created 2 years ago that has rebranded the Pennridge School District, and it has several different looks, different backgrounds. This was given out to the entire administrative team in all buildings and all departments, so when they build official Pennridge representation, they have a branding look, and it's a unified look with our 3 pillars of proud, principled, and prepared, and also all of the mascots throughout our schools, several different designs that people can use. This is new this year. Mr. Barros and I worked very hard to make sure that we got almost every date that you see up there was either already on the calendar in other years, or it was because when you miss one and you miss a staff member that has an appreciation day, they let you know about it. So we got an email or two and said, well, next year we'll make sure. And we got as many as we possibly could, more than 40 days, weeks, and months of celebration throughout the month. And this is what we're calling the monthly celebration and recognition calendar. This will also be going out this week. Speaking of calendars, we do have a new digital monthly calendar design, And you're looking at just the month of September right there. So we're giving our staff and residents an updated digital calendar this year, download and print options, and we're saving on the very high cost of publishing and commercial printing costs, which was almost $10,000. So we decided to have a digital calendar. The new calendar is scheduled to be sent out to all families and staff next week, as well as posted on our website. And this will allow everyone to fill in the date blocks either digitally and then download it, or the old-fashioned way, just print it out, and you can fill it in yourself. It is a high-resolution photo, so it can be blown up to a calendar size like you would use on your desk. You can also have it as an 8x10, a large frame. It's expandable to those sizes. And the calendar will also include all of the board-approved holidays, in-service days, and other important dates already on the approved district calendar, so everyone has it in one spot, and you can kind of fill it in from there. And that is my part of the report.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. I would also like to announce we received a $10,000 donation from an anonymous donor to waive lunch fees. So we thank that citizen for their generosity. Next up, we'll have a recognition. Mr. Cormack, if you could come down and join us. So in today's mail, we received this certificate that commemorates Mr. Cormack's 5 years of service as a school board director in the Pennridge School District. Catching him off guard right now, but it's a certificate of appreciation, and we would like to thank Mr. Cormack.
Congratulations.
Yeah, you didn't have to do this. Okay, next up, let me get my notes here. A second. Next, we'd like to recognize Chief Matt Phelan, who recently retired from as the chief of the Bedminster Township Police Department. On behalf of the Pennridge School District, please accept my gratitude for your outstanding service and dedication to our community. Over the past 4 years, your efforts have significantly strengthened the partnership between Bedminster Township PD and the Pennridge School District, contributing to a safer and more supportive environment for our students and staff. Selfishly speaking, as a Bedminster resident, I could not have asked for a better police chief. I want to congratulate you on your retirement and new position at the Upper Bucks County Technical School. Your wealth of experience and expertise will undoubtedly be a significant asset for our students. I'm particularly excited about the potential collaborations between Pennridge and the Upper Bucks County Technical School in your new role. A little bit about Chief Phelan. He has 26 years of service as a police officer. He came to us from Tinicum Township, and he served as the Bedminster chief for 4 years. He has a son, William, who's a 2024 graduate, who is currently in college, a freshman son by the name of Henry, who plays football, and his wife is an educator in the Neshaminy School District. Again, thank you for your meritorious service, Chief, to Bedminster Township and to the Pennridge School District. I wish you all the best of luck in your new position.
Thank you.
In addition, we are joined by Miss Lori Hepler. So Miss Lori Hepler, if you'd like to come forward, who is the Community Relations Supervisor at the Police Department. And she's just been a fantastic partner. If you look on the screen, you'll see some initiatives there where our students were Chief of the Day. She also is a victim advocate and organized the National Night Out. She's an East Rock Hill resident, and we thank her for her efforts and dedication to our community. So we'd just like to publicly recognize some of our partners tonight. Next up, Natalia, are you here? Natalia? Okay, Natalia's not here, but we're still going to honor her. So Natalia is a Pennridge High School senior and an Upper Bucks County technical student, but she won the National Skills USA competition and which is an incredible accolade. Very few, I've encountered very few students who received a gold national medal. So in particular, she won in the employment application process. So we have a certificate. We will ensure that she receives that. Mr. Caddy, thank you. But how about a nice round of applause in her absence? Okay, so last Monday we had convocation. So it was the opening day for staff here at Pennridge School District, and I had an opportunity to finally interface with all of the teachers and have them in one room. We had guest speakers that day, Mr. Jim Valletta, who is the Pennridge Education Association. I think he's with us tonight. He delivered a speech that day. We were joined by our school board president, Mr. Ron Wurst. He delivered a wonderful speech. And our keynote speaker that day was the executive director of the Bucks County IU, Dr. Mark Hoffman. And all in all, it was a wonderful day. However, in my opinion, the person that actually stole the show is this Dr. Oscar. Would you like to come forward? So a little bit about Dr. Oscar Schumacher. He is a second grader at Guth Elementary School. And Mr. Thomas met Dr. Oscar, last year at Guth. And he provided some salient points for our educators for the upcoming school year. And when you hear this young man, his vocabulary, he's smooth. I mean, I think we may have a future doctor, a superintendent, attorney, public speaker, politician, I'm not sure, but he is fantastic. But we're going to roll some tape from convocation.
Hello, I am Dr. Oscar, and I'm going to give advice of how to have an amazing school year. So, where do I start? There are many kind people here, and you can be one of them. And how to be one is, well, if you're in a grouchy feeling, just be kind to another one, and then they'll be kind to you, and it just makes you feel happy. I don't know why, but it just does. The best teachers ever would be empathetic, kind, caring, conscientious. It's like a fun event, but it's all the fun events you've ever had mashed together to make the funnest event. Oh yeah, you're thinking, right, this is the right place. It's amazing. It's amazing because there are so many empathetic people here that are always thinking about you. And let me tell you, sometimes when you're a new kid, you get more empathy. Just a tip. Always think about the next students. They might be better, they might be worse, but always keep on going. Think it about in the higher zones that, wow, I've enjoyed these first grade classes, or whatever grade, they might be worse, but they might be even better than I'm thinking. Get all your minds ready. Put everything together you know of, mash it together, and try to solve the problem. Use any strategies if you need to. The secret is that when you're kind to someone, they're kind to you. And it just makes you feel good. Like, no matter what. Even if you're in a grumpy mood or grouchy feelings, it always helps. I just like to be kind to others. Even when I'm already happy and shining, it makes me even feel more bright. It's like a light bulb. When you're in like a I mean, everyone here is so empathetic. They're always thinking about you. When you're sad, overwhelmed, or angry. I am Dr. Oscar, and my official advice for all Pennridge staff and teachers is to have a great school year.
So, Oscar, we can learn a lot from you. I know I have. And we are joined by Oscar's parents, if you'd like to wave. Wonderful parents, but he is just a fantastic young man. I'm glad to have met you and have you as a student here. So I have a certificate for you. Okay, guys, ready? Good job.
Here you go, Oscar.
Thank you, Dr. Oscar, and I think that concludes my superintendent's report. Actually, it does, so thank you very much.
Moving right along, Isabella, for student liaison report.
Okay, well, Dr. Oscar gave me a tough act to follow, but we hope all staff and students had a great first day of school, and the start of this school year specifically brings many changes, the largest of that being the introduction of our new block scheduling system. This new system allows time for what we call RAMS period, and this is a time of flex and instructional time in the morning where students get the opportunity to get help from teachers, make up tests, have club meetings, or socialize with friends. And this kind of acts as a study hall opportunity for all of our students. So whatever they may need, this RAMS period really gives them the opportunity to get assistance and will hopefully encourage our students to, if they need help, to go actively seek this help from teachers. And over the summer, teachers have been learning and reviewing ways to be successful with this new schedule since it is such a big change. And as Mr. Berry said, the repavement of the parking lot and new signage definitely adds to the appearance of our high school and making it just a great place to be. And although school has just started, many programs here at the high school have been working hard over the summer. Fall sports have been practicing, and the first football game of the year took place this past Friday. The fall play, which will be Peter and the Starcatcher, has been having rehearsals to prepare for their show, which will be in late October. Marching Band had their band camp and has been learning their performance for this upcoming year. And Link Crew has been incredibly busy helping our freshmen get introduced to the high school. Over the summer, they started a new program called Canvassing the Town, where they visited some of the incoming 9th graders to welcome them and to give them some Pennridge apparel. And this past Friday, the Link Crew hosted their freshman orientation to give them a tour of the school and to give them a final welcome to Pennridge before their first day at the high school. And then lastly, Student Council has been busy planning for our upcoming fall events, the largest of those being our homecoming parade and dance. And then lastly, some important upcoming events. Back to School Night will take place on Thursday, September 19th from 6 to 8 p.m. And the PSAT for sophomores and juniors will be taking place in school on October 23rd. And then lastly, our homecoming dance will be Saturday, September 28th from 7 to 10. And following that, our homecoming parade will be the following Saturday, October 5th at 10:30, followed directly by the homecoming football game at 12. So thank you.
Thank you. Moving along to public comment. First up is Maggie Conlon.
Hi y'all, Maggie Connolly from Chrissy Borough. First, I'd like to publicly thank Mr. Merkel-Gump and Mr. Wurz for their efforts to defend free speech at last week's meeting. For anyone who missed it, Mr. Merkel-Gump articulated some of the concerns that some of us might have around giving the board too much power to interrupt speakers who may say something that some members of the board may disagree with. Similarly, Mr. Wurz defended the right of the public to be permitted to speak in the first place, even on busy nights. So thank you, gentlemen. While we're handing out praise, Ms. Buzetsky argued for a common sense approach to reintroduction or not of the 21 books that were previously removed. You meant a case, I think, of deaf ears and or dug in heels, I'm afraid, but your efforts are nonetheless appreciated, so thank you. Jumping off of that, I know I sent you all a kind of a lengthy email about some of my concerns, so I'm not going to go over everything. I just really want to kind of reiterate my kind of main question is I would really like to find out where I can have access to that list of 21 books that were removed previously. I think that'd be good information for the public to have. Some other things real quick, just to highlight is I have a question around why an AR is used for the bulk of the information regarding resource materials rather than keeping it in the policy. I wonder what the benefit is of removing language specifically prohibiting distribution of pornographic materials to minors. I'm not sure what we gain from removing that language. Also, if a teacher does distribute porn to minors, what disciplinary action is taken. And then how can the public be assured that a committee assembled to review a work for removal is balanced? Unless you're absolutely certain that the side that you agree with will always be an administrative power, you may wish to at least make it look like that matters. Thank you.
Next up, Brian McMullen.
Hey guys. Brian McMullen, East Rock Hill. I'll be speaking tonight on the proposed changes to Policy 903 from August 16th and have its second reading at the most recent policy meeting on the 19th of this month. In its original purest form, the First Amendment was established to help promote the free exchange of ideas and to provide a form of redress to citizens against the government without fear of retribution. Additionally, the First Amendment seeks to protect unpopular forms of speech as well. There are, of course, several forms of speech that are not covered under the First. Examples of exception categories that are given lesser or no protection include obscenity, threats, crime, fraud, child pornography. Remember the fake book banning outrage? Well, that's not protected under the First Amendment, as it's depicted minors performing sexual acts and showing their private parts. The list goes on, but you've got me down to 3 minutes, so let's dive right in. Most of the rewrite for 903 is just word salad rearrangements that ultimately deliver the same end result so that some of you can say, hey, look what the new board did. The devil's in the details and words matter. The current policy surrounding termination of public comment has 2 criteria. You can only be stopped by the presiding officer or the solicitor. 1 is to incite an immediate breach of the peace. 2 is to make comments which are considered as a whole to prominentity, appear to prurient interest, or otherwise obscene or constitute threats of bodily harm. The proposal has 7 criteria that are conveyed in such a vague manner as to allow interpretation by anyone with emotion over fact. There are 2 proposals, excuse me, of particular concern. Line 5, speech that constitutes true threats such as inciting imminent lawless action or subjecting individuals to fear of violence. Fear of violence. This is an easy one to get everyone to agree on the surface, but this is vague in the sense that literally anyone, and I mean anyone, can stand up and say, that scares me. Public comment gets halted. Line 7, speech that is disparaging or profane or which constitutes an actual threat towards staff, students, board members, or a specific individual in the community that's either intended to or has the effect of disrupting the meeting. I mean, where do we start with this one? Considering this board's willingness to push through disparaging policies against the clear majority of this district, you deserve to be subjected to statements of dissatisfaction with your performance. But if the policy gets amended, you can claim that you've been made to feel somehow smaller or of little importance with your delicate sensibilities having been infringed upon, and public comment gets halted. Profane. I mean, we've had people drop F-bombs and raise middle fingers to the in-person and online audience. It was previously allowed, and that's just a weird one for you to let go and then all of a sudden make a stand. Again, we see reference to a specific individual in the community, so literally anyone at the meeting can initiate the termination of public comment simply by behaving poorly when they don't like hearing from a diverse viewpoint or commentary. Thank you.
Jane Kramer.
Jane Kramer, Sellersville. Just wanted to make a few comments regarding the policy committee meeting. Just want to say I appreciate the new version of Policy 109 and that the policy committee and board are really looking to the administration to craft these new policies and really looking to get feedback from our librarians and our teachers and administration. So I appreciate that. I also appreciated at the meeting that there was acknowledgement of the shadow book ban and that the previous board acted in bad faith. I would encourage the policy committee to look at our current policies and consider, do we need to add any additional policies to prevent that kind of action in the future? And then just lastly was wondering if we'll get an update on the solicitor RFP tonight. Thank you.
Laura Foster.
Hey, Laura Foster, East Rockville. So I want to start by acknowledging the positive steps this board has taken in adopting a balanced and unbiased approach to our district's library book policy. The recent revisions to the policy represent progress toward ensuring that our students have access to a diverse and comprehensive range of literature, free from discriminatory practices and censorship, and trying to also censor the voices of and marginalizing others' perspectives. So I'm very thankful for that. But as we celebrate these improvements, we must not forget how we arrived at this point, particularly the role of certain members of this board played in advancing the previously deeply flawed policy. One such member is Christine, who, despite her current position as co-chair of the policy committee, was instrumental in implementing a policy that was littered with discriminatory language and enlisted ILC of the PA Family Council, a right-wing lobbying firm, to write it without the public's knowledge. I think we saw ILC here, so I don't know, maybe you guys want to take them out for a drink afterwards and see how the relationship is now. But the issues won't stop there. Christine didn't just approve this fall policy, she actively participated in shadow banning of 21 books from Pennridge schools. She bypassed the very protocols that were supposed to govern such decisions, supporting the removal of these books without proper review or community input. Christine remained silent as the district falsely blamed a librarian for these removals, fully aware of who was truly responsible. And now Christine sits on the policy committee. In what world does this make sense? At last week's policy committee meeting, it was abundantly clear that Christine lacks even basic understanding of policy concepts. She argued that the books that she secretly banned should still be removed from the libraries, while hypocritically advocating for transparency. Transparency that was glaringly absent when these books were removed without any review and following any process. Christine, you've taken no responsibility for your actions. And then there is Ricky and Jordan. Yeah, the Giuliani and Bannon of book banning. You can deny all you want, but there's clear proof that you orchestrated the 21 book ban. You should pay to restore the books that were wrongfully removed, as well as the Eckert-Siemens fees to cover your tracks. And you should step down from the board. You should apologize to the librarian that you threw under the bus when you knew that it was the board that banned those books, particularly you. Taxpayers should not have to bear the financial burden of your failure to uphold your civic duties. Christine, Jordan, Ricky, and even you, Bob, in the spirits of transparency that you all now claim to support, I want the list of the 21 books too. Thank you.
Ross McLean.
Ross McLean at Hilltown. I want to channel Dr. Oscar right now. That was great. As a matter of fact, the whole presentation was fantastic. Thanks a lot. Big change from last year this time. And very positive, so that was exciting. Policy 109, I do want to see the books put back. So here, okay, Banned Books Week, we used to have that display. I know it was taken out a couple years ago. The theme this year is Freed Between the Lines. It's September 22nd to 28th. I'd like to see that display put back.
Yes.
The new legitimate look. Does that mean the old look wasn't legitimate? I wrote that down. I do like the new look, and I like a lot of what I'm seeing tonight, like I mentioned. Oh, thanks for your concern on mental health of the students. I'd like to see the pay survey brought back. I know it's optional now. I think that if the parents were told that pretty much this is our survey the way they did years ago when our kids went through the school, I think we get much better results than what we're getting now. And once again, I want to channel Dr. Oscar. That was great. Thank you very much.
Committee again?
Before I speak, I have some handouts that I'd like to give the board. And I have some friends that are going to hand out some to the people in the audience if they want them, but there is a warning on them that they are graphic, so I didn't want to put them out there. I was thinking about bringing a poster, but I thought I'd make it. So. Just so you know.
You can start.
Okay, Kim Delaney, Percy Borough. I'm talking about policy 109, the resources policy, commonly known as the library policy. This policy was established by our prior board to provide clear standards as to what was appropriate to purchase with taxpayer money and place into a school library. A school library has a different purpose than a community library. A school library is to provide educational materials that enhance board-approved curriculum. Previously, and not too long ago, maybe in June, several parents identified books that were sexually explicit, we all remember genderqueer, that were in the school library, but were not deemed appropriate for Pennridge. They got in there by somebody. A policy was enacted to provide a clear framework so everyone knew what the expectations were. Now it appears you're proposing to remove those guidelines, those guardrails. Doing so would remove oversight of the library, which is confusing because the board does review and approve of curriculum and even textbooks. So how are library books different than them? Clearly, given some of the recent book challenges, some librarians do not define appropriate as most in the Pennridge community do. Case in point, the book Blue is the Warmest Color, of which I've given you all a clear example. The book is currently listed as available in the school library. It's a very sexually explicit graphic novel. I think you would agree. I was going to bring a poster, but I was afraid with the viewing that I would get in trouble for distributing pornography because it is. The question I have to ask you is, how does this book elevate our students? Please explain the intellectual rigor and educational value of this book, as well as the need for taxpayers to pay to put it in our library. I ask any journalists or press that might be listening or viewing this this meeting to publish those 2 pages in the press so readers know how their hard-earned tax dollars are being spent. Please keep the library policy as it currently stands so library staff are clear what is expected for library purchases, including what the Pennridge community deems appropriate for its students. Is our standard to be, well, it's not too bad? That's what it seems to be. How about our standard be something like striving for excellence, elevating the thinking of our students? Thank you.
That concludes public comment.
Ron, I'd like to make a comment, please.
Sure.
Can I steal yours?
Yeah, of course. You know, Mike.
Sure. Is that working?
I just wanted to explain a little bit and respond to Ms. Foster's comment and then also Ms. Bedillion's. First of all, I don't know the list of 21 books that was removed. The entire board, not Christine, Ron, all 9 board members, had a list of 8 books identified, and all 9 of us asked Dr. Bolton, which is under our purview, to temporarily pull and review them. We just found out this year under new administration that the books still hadn't been reviewed. And he then directed the librarians to do a search, and they pulled the other 14. Still don't know if they have not been reviewed, but they're going to be reviewed. So unfortunately, there is just so much misinformation out there. Certainly, I never even met our librarian, and that's a personnel issue, but sure, her job was, that has nothing to do with me or Jordan,
She doesn't
but
have an
we
NDA.
can't discuss that. Laura, I'm speaking, it's time for you to be quiet. As far as Ms. Bedillion's comments, I understand that, and initially, I know for myself, I wanted the wording to stay in the policy. I have a ton of faith in the AR because I have a lot of faith in our new administration, and it's now threefold: a librarian, a building administrator, and ultimately, I think Dr. Scheid, am I right? Have to approve a book. So I think the problem with some of the books that got in is either nobody was approving or one person was deciding they were okay. In no world do I think the books that got pulled for review would ever pass 3 people in this building, certainly not a building principal and Dr. Scheid. And as far as the book that you mentioned, I agree, it's completely has no place in the school. And fortunately, so does most of the committee and board, and I think Dr. Barrios is going to talk about the process, I don't know if it'll be tonight, about how the community knows what's being reviewed and what the results that were. And that should have been done in the last administration, but unfortunately it wasn't. But thankfully we're in a different position than that now.
Moving along to the consent calendar. I need a motion to approve items A through I, unless anybody wants to pull one out. Anybody want to pull anything out? Okay. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Seconded by Carol. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those against? Motion. Motion passes 9-0. Moving on to committee activities. Mrs. Block.
Okay. Activities Committee met on August 19th, and there are a few things, mainly of the approval of overnight trips.
You want to make a motion then to approve?
Okay, so there's a motion to,
Yeah.
okay, motion to approve the following overnight high school trips, A through C, listed below.
Need a
Read all of
second.
them? I'll just
Second.
do A through C.
Second?
Second.
Chris? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those against? Motion passes 9-0.
Okay, and then the next Activities Committee meeting will be on,
Approval of resolution C. Sorry.
oh,
No worries.
sorry, motion to approve resolution regarding House Bill number 1983.
Just so people are aware that there's a state-sponsored motion to separate private and public high school championships at the state level. There's a lot of the private schools are recruiting and coming, and they're certainly non-boundary schools, so they can recruit from that state. And the motion is, we just agreeing to it for the most part, saying that we should have a separate championship, so it's a level playing field. So that's what this resolution is about. Need a second?
Second.
Carolyn? Sorry. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those against? Motion passes 9-0.
Okay, that's all for activities. The next committee meeting will be Tuesday, September 3rd.
Facilities, Mr. Cormack?
Thank you, sir. We're reporting on our August 19th meeting. We have approval of a change order, and that is a motion to approve a change order number 102, Carver Industries, Baker Parker Paving in the amount of $158,384.20.
Second, we need a second. That was a
Second.
motion. Second, Chris. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those against? Motion passes 9-0.
Next motion is to accept and award a school bus bid 25-111 to Wolfington Body Company in the amount of $928,305.
I'll second. Second, Karen. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those against? Motion passes 9-0.
Next is a motion to approve obsolete items A through L.
Second.
Second by Ricky. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those against? Motion passes 9-0.
The next Facilities Committee meeting is August 26th, 2024.
Moving on to finance. We have approval of a number of contracts tonight. Are anyone interested in breaking any of them out, or shall we proceed? Make a motion to approve items A through P on the contracts. Need a second?
Second.
Bob, second. All those in favor?
Sorry, I just want to, real quick, just because
Yeah.
there were a lot of contracts, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
These are all the same ones, nothing was added since the committee, just double checking. Nothing is new on here. Right?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, cool, okay, sorry.
Yeah, we would let you know that. All those in favor? Oh, no, do we need a second?
Yes.
Yeah, second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those against? Lee? Motion passes 9-0, or 8-0. C. Next is approval of student activity accounts. I make a motion to approve items A through H, that mostly are renew and carry over to existing student clubs. Can I get a second?
Second.
Carolyn? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those against? Motion passes 9-0.
Mr. President, with regard to D, the approval of the LERTA resolution, as I explained to the board today, I would recommend that the board table the approval of the LERTA resolution at this time while we do a little bit more groundwork to make sure that we're where we need to be. So I'd ask the board to consider a motion to table.
Make a motion?
Second.
At the table, you making a motion to table?
Yes.
There's a motion.
You don't, sorry.
8, but no questions. Yeah, that's right.
This is 12.
Yeah. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those against? All right. Motion to table passes 9-0.
Thank you, Mr. President.
The next finance meeting is scheduled for Monday, September 9th. Moving on to personnel. Shereen.
Thank you. For personnel, first is the motion to approve tenure recommendations for the following employees: Benjamin Anderson, Brianna Anzadeo, Taylor DiCiacco, Angie Frederick, Haley Lease, Kristen Marinelli, Ashton Morelli, Kimberly Murphy, Melissa Sine, Jenna Smith, Cassandra Tooney, and Rebecca Wida.
Need a second?
Second.
Questions or comments? All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those against? Motion passes 9-0. I do want to congratulate everybody who is on this list. You know, it's a big step in your career, and congratulations on getting tenure. We appreciate your hard work, and I'm not sure anybody's here for maybe at home. I appreciate your hard work and commitment to Pennridge, and we look forward to many more years here. So thank you very much, and we'll move on.
Thank you. The next is motion to approve. sorry about that. Motion to approve Beverly Hendricks as Director of Nutritional Services effective September 16, 2024, at a salary of $97,311.
Motion.
Need a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those against? Motion passes 9-0.
Great, the next Personnel Committee meeting is scheduled for Monday, September 9th.
Ms. Sharino, can we introduce Mrs. Hicks to you all? Mrs.
Oh, yeah.
Hendricks, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
she's here?
Yes,
Oh, I'm
so
sorry.
tonight we would like to introduce to you Mrs. Beverly Hendricks. Mrs. Hendricks graduated with a culinary degree from Johnson & Wales University. Prior to accepting the position in the Pennridge School District, Mrs. Hendricks has served as the Director of Nutritional Services at the Saucon Valley School District. We welcome Mrs. Hendricks as the Director of Nutritional Services in the Pennridge School District.
Welcome. I didn't know you were in the audience, but we'll look forward to the new tasty meals and all the good stuff coming out of there. We've had a really successful program. Look forward to working with you. Thank you. Moving on to policy. Leah, can you hear us? Yeah. I want to put you in front of the mic so everyone can hear.
Can everyone hear me?
Yeah, actually pretty well. Very good.
All right, there you go. The last policy committee meeting was held August 19th, and for tonight what we have for voting is motion to approve first reading on policy 109, resources material.
Need a second? Need a second?
I'll second.
Second. Questions or comments?
I had a few comments because at the committee meeting I had to scoot out and we went over this policy toward the end. And I do share some concern with the majority of it being in the AR and not the actual policy. But I do completely agree with Ricky that I do have faith in the new administration and rolling this out. So that does give me peace. But I did just want to ask the part in the policy that states responsibility of each Pennridge School District's teacher to ensure that any books not purchased by the district but held in individual classroom libraries and available for student use will have been read or reviewed by that teacher in advance of making the reading materials available for inappropriate or potentially offensive language or themes will be excluded from the classroom collection. So I think that's great verbiage. My question is though, how does is there some form of how teachers will sign off on their classroom libraries? Is that, or potentially let's say there is a book within a classroom library that a family member might think is inappropriate, what would happen then? I guess those are some of my questions with just that verbiage.
Dr. Shai?
The teachers are given a memo at the beginning of every school year, and they recently received it last year with the same information. And that is, if there's ever a question about a non-approved resource material, that it is deliberated, for lack of a better word, with either the content area supervisor or the building principal prior to it being put into the classroom library.
Okay, so then there's no sign off or anything like that. It's just that that is the expectation. And then if there would be one that would be challenged, how would that work? How would that go through? How do we deal with that? Just through the regular challenging process that's within their classroom library?
So I wouldn't call it a challenging process. It's not one. I have yet to see a resource that the teacher uses in their classroom libraries where we've been asked to challenge it. I do trust the supervisors and the building administrators. They always come to me if they have any question about it. There is no formal process for a challenge, but fortunately, there really hasn't been a need for one in the classrooms. The classroom libraries and typically at secondary level, 6 through 12, they are fully supported after review with Mrs. Raber.
Thank you.
We really do keep an eye on all the resources, and we do trust that our teachers are discerning and everyone understands what the values are here in the district. And if there was a book that came to our attention, then it would eventually come to me.
And then, I'm sorry, so more to go off of then on the AR. I do, again, with one of the community members' comments, I agree that, some of the language in the old policy was more specific and kind of like what was wrong with some of that more specific language. But I am happy that there is, even within the new language about, age appropriate, things like that. But I also agree with the committee. I know we have the committee. Will it always stay the same people, or will it change just in case there is different viewpoints? If a book is challenged and reviewing those, I'm assuming it'll stay the same for now.
Yes, this is the committee that we have for now. If there was a reason to add a member or change a member, just, I don't know, expertise, science, something in that regard, then we would add a different member.
Okay.
But this would be the team this year.
Okay.
And then last thing, one thing I would love to add is, it's been brought up in the past by community members. It's definitely something that gets a lot of media coverage. There's a lot of people that have done research and written articles on looking at libraries within even Bucks County and then obviously nationwide, where a lot of the library books that are in schools, there's not a balance there with when you're comparing progressive and conservative views. Pennridge was one in at least a couple articles that they've done, and it has shown a bias leaning one way. And I know we always, want to encourage critical thinking, but it can be difficult when one side is mainly represented. So again, I'm sorry that I was not at the committee meeting, but I would also love to see something added within the policy that our librarians kind of go through as they're doing a reviewing process and really try to have more of a balance of perspectives.
So it's never our intention not to have a balance. Is somebody else talking?
No, go ahead, Ken.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So it's never our intention not to have balance. And I'm not sure about the verbiage that you want in the policy. It's something that we would talk to Ernest about, but it's always our intention to assure that we have a broad range of topics for students, not leaning one way or the other. There's a lot of conversation, especially in social studies and English, about balance and about making sure that we aren't just providing students with one view. It's multiple views, and I think that we've had lots of conversations about critical thinking. And our job isn't to tell kids what to think. Our job is to help them learn how to think.
I totally agree with that, but it's definitely, it's fair to say that there's not a balance within the library, and sometimes when asked during different curriculum things to show a balance, even with some of the new science curriculum, I've yet to kind of, seen some examples, and maybe it'll come up as it goes, but I know that might not be the intention. I would just love to see it be, an effort put forward to try to get, more of a balance within it, because it's definitely there. Not that that was the intention, but the bias of the balance missing is definitely there.
Just, could you provide, just at some point, where this unbalance is? I'd just like to see where the unbalance is and what the topics are covered, so.
Sure.
I would also like to add, thanking the administration librarians for working on this administration regulation. It's really nice to read that it comes from a positive outlook of what we want in our books. I think it shows that with the 6 criteria that it has and also the 10 standards. And I do believe that with this, it does provide safeguards and the checks and balances that we want. I would also, and I believe it was talked about in the committee, to add, and I know we have it here, to make sure that we also keep the criteria for weeding still attached.
Yeah, I'll just add that I thought it was a productive and positive committee meeting, and we did get additional feedback from the community that we're committed to looking at in the next review of the policy.
And I would also like to add, I think when you look at the way the administrative procedure is written, again, first draft, we will continue to review this, and I will continue to incorporate edits along with Mr. Barrios and Dr. Scheid and the cabinet, as well as feedback from the librarians. One of the areas of focus is promoting what Ms. Bonker just talked about in terms of the diversity of books and thought contained within those books from a wide variety of perspectives. So if you look at what selected resources will do within this administrative procedure, it speaks to that when you look at number 8. I do think perhaps we can consider a more explicit statement regarding that, just to make it more reflective of what Ms. Plum just talked about. Thank you.
Can I ask a question either for Kathy or Ernest? The classroom libraries, do they have to meet the same criteria as a library book as far as the guidelines of age appropriateness, everything's in the new AR?
So there's certain criteria when we're purchasing books. That's really where the criteria lies, because they're being purchased by the school district. There are books that we purchase for classrooms that go through that criteria that you're talking about. I think what I'm hearing is, what about books that teachers bring in on their own? Because they may have different books. They know their kids best. They may be bringing in books that we don't purchase. So they don't have and I think Mrs. Blanc was noting it, something they have to sign off on. What they do have is the information that I send out every year, that the expectation is if you bring something into your classroom that we have not, has not been approved, then you need to make sure that it's being reviewed by either the supervisor or the principal, both. If there's any question about that, it would come to me.
Would it be, does anybody object to having our classroom libraries just meet the same criteria? Like officially put that in the AR?
So I don't want to confuse it by saying criteria. I mean, when we come to the Board of Curriculum meetings, and we come and we talk about, and we share all the information, and we seek approval, that's a process. So are you asking if the teacher wants to bring in a book, it should go through that process? Is that the question?
Or just that, if a teacher wants to bring in resources that haven't gone through curriculum, I assume that would be optional resources, like the classroom library is never mandatory, right, because it's not.
We have classroom libraries here at Pennridge, and they are supported. We have purchased them, so they do. Classrooms do have classroom libraries.
But I mean, is the material, is it like an optional resource for students, or is that potentially part of the curriculum?
Independent reading.
Okay.
If a student is to bring his or her book in, yes, they could take a book out of the classroom library.
Okay, so but I'm saying, in other words, it wouldn't be something that teacher's teaching from, it's just an addition.
No.
Okay, so could those books, could the expectation be, when I talk about the criteria, I don't know, Mr. Johnson, how many items is it, 8 or something that a book should meet in the library? That there seemed to be like no pushback, everybody agreed that that was reasonable. No, actually it was 10, I guess. Support and enrich curriculum, meet high standards, be appropriate for subject area.
Oh, I see.
Be age appropriate. Is there any reason that that shouldn't just be even in a classroom library, the same expectations?
No, there's certainly no reason. Obviously, we want to have age-appropriate materials and student interest, and that is what's in the library. So if the question is, do we now have teachers have to submit the books that they want to bring to school in their classroom library to go through the same process as the books that we're purchasing? Is that the question?
Was it just a book or any resource? That then becomes a burdensome process.
It's a lot.
I'm not sure.
I'm not saying necessarily that we review it like we would a library book or proof of purchase, but it should just, there should just be the expectation it would meet the same criteria.
Absolutely. That is true, and we do expect that. That is what goes to the teachers. That memo says that we do hold that expectation for all materials that are brought into the classroom. That is what it says. Teachers do understand that that's the expectation, and they receive that every year.
Because I guess my concern is, so this book that Ms. Badillion, that we've all seen and all agree is like not appropriate for children.
Do they go through the same?
If there's something in the AR or the policy, and let's just say a teacher does have that in their personal library, where is the safeguard that?
So there is in the information that goes to teachers that it would then be the teacher's responsibility. It says that. We have the expectation. If you don't meet that expectation, we've talked about that. But they're two different things.
And honestly, as teachers, we tend to be even more risk averse. So what is in most teachers' classroom libraries is going to be even more than the level of what you're going to see out of the library policy in general, because when we're talking about what's in our classroom library, we're talking about the potential for, if we violate that, to be professionally disciplined, things like that. So when it comes to putting together a literature-rich environment for our students, we are always, as teachers, very careful in what we put in and what we don't put in.
Hey, can I interrupt? I think Leah do you want to say what you said to me, Leah, or do you want me to? I think can you hear us, Leah?
Yes.
I think you had a good point. Just
really cool. Now I'm not going I'm really having a hard time hearing everyone, but it sounds like there's questions around what's in the classroom library that the teachers put together, and
resources.
Kathy said that there's, you hear me?
Yep, yeah, we can hear you fine.
Okay. I believe Kathy said that those are not part of like the challenge process, et cetera, and they aren't intended to be. Usually the classroom libraries are similar to even posters and, other things that teachers put in their classroom. They usually supplement when they're teaching that year, et cetera. So I would not like them to be things that can be challenged in this way. I think they should be handled the same way if any parent has an issue with anything that's going on in the classroom, that they reach out to the teacher, then to the principal, et cetera.
Agreed. So you also.
That's the summary that everyone else gave. But regardless, that will all be information in the AR, and we can and should discuss this at the next committee meeting then.
I agree with
Fair enough.
that. Yeah.
I think the policy itself as it stands is ready for to pass first reading. To vote, I guess.
We have a motion. I need a second. Then?
Second.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Okay. This is voting on first read for policy 109. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those against?
Aye.
Motion passes 9-0. Lee, go ahead.
Sure. Based on the next committee meeting, the next the policy update plan has been posted, as we discussed in the committee meeting. It contains what we talked about during the committee meeting, but it's not something we vote on. And the next policy committee meeting is scheduled for September 3rd. Thank you.
Thank you, Leah. Moving on to committee reports, the IU Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
Okay, we received a book challenge on June 17th regarding Blue, a publication, a book called Blue is the Warmest Color, which went through the review process this summer. And following folks reviewed this book, graphic novel actually. Dr. Kathy Chai, Mr. Ernest Johnson, Ms. Sarah Raber, Mr. Tim Ketty, and Ms. Kim Malloy. And I'm taking the recommendation from this review committee to remove this book from our library. So earlier during public comment, there was distributed material to everyone in this room, and that book is coming off the shelf. It bears noting that we received that challenge and school had ended. So today is the first day of school. We did conduct a review this summer, and that book will be removed. And I just wanted to address that while we're talking about policy.
The other thing I would like to add is that we also asked the question of the committee whether this would be removed under the new AR. And theirs was the same. They said in both situations the book would be removed. So we encourage the public to let us know if there's something. We'll go through the proper process that we will follow that in the future, and we'll report back on that within the time frame that's necessary. So I just wanted to add that too. Moving on to the IU report. I attended the last week the board meeting, and I had a little bit of comments on there. They spoke mostly about the Fab Lab and its continued expansion. If you're not familiar with that, that's a mobile lab that comes to individual elementary schools. They're expanding the program. They're also having a Fab Lab in their facility and expanded. So they reached over 62 schools last year in demonstrating the needs for tech, STEM, and all sorts of stuff that not every school and elementary school has. So it's a great program. The IVU obviously provides a lot of other services, but that was mostly what we focused on at the board meeting. That's all I have for that. Moving on to Upper Bucks. Sorry about that. Mr. Cormick? Oh, Mr. Coughlin, sorry.
The meeting was on August 15th. Just to kind of breeze through, it was a substantially long meeting. Again, I want to congratulate Ms. Yandura on her first place. To be able to make it to that level, especially looking at it nationally, it's quite an achievement. And she was the only one from Upper Bucks to score a first, and of course she's from Pennridge. Elizabeth Balliet, she's a Pennridge graduate and a parent who works for USLBM, which is Shelley's. They presented a donation of $60,000 from USLBM to establish a scholarship in the name of Mark Francis, who is the past president of USLBM. The fund will provide two $1,500 awards to two graduates, one male and one female in the construction trades. Discussion was had to potentially create an EMS substation within the school to provide faster response times to the general area. The status of the roof project was provided. All substantial work will be completed by the time the students arrived. And Dr. Daniel Cullen was appointed as the Assistant Director of Student Services for a 3-year term, effective upon release from his current employer. And with that, the next Upper Bucks County Tech School meeting is scheduled for Thursday, September 19th.
Chris, can I just add something from the meeting?
Yeah.
Enrollment's been like a hot topic over there as well, just kind of like figuring out from, we have policies, Quakertown and Pennridge, and just coming up with that process. And the tech school has a wait list as well, but I just want to encourage those families that if you haven't gone over the tech to tour it and to see all the different opportunities they have over there, as well as obviously there's programs that fill up sooner than others. And then sometimes there's students that get the email that says, you didn't get your first choice, you didn't get your second choice. And then, maybe there's always options for next year to apply. And I was saying that I wondered too if they knew that there were open spots in other programs that maybe do not have a wait list, that maybe they'd be interested in that. So just to encourage if you are wanting to go to tech, definitely reach out. I know they'd be happy to say what programs are over there and have openings. And maybe that's something too that we can just advertise, throughout this year as it comes closer to application time for the following year.
Next up is PSBA event. It's a leadership conference. We already approved 2 or 3. We're adding an additional person, so as make a motion to approve Mrs. Ricky Chaikin to attend the 2024 PSBA School Leadership Conference in Kalahari Resorts and Conventions on October 6th through 8th. Need a second?
Second.
Mr. Cormack? And all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those against? Motion passes 9-0. Moving on to old business. Any old business? Any new business?
Mr. Words, I wanted to share with the community, if you have received your Shelby Labs newsletter and haven't read it yet, I encourage you to do that. In there it details grants that have been given out by the state to Pennridge School District, totaling almost $700,000. And I wanted to recognize Dan DeRiso, our Director of Finance, under the leadership of Sean Daubert, for leading the way to Pennridge School District securing that grant money, with most of that coming from the school safety and security grants introduced by Representative Labs. These funds will enable PSD to enhance security measures throughout the district. And Mr. Daubert shared with the board that our success this year came from submitting very detailed plans describing how the funds would be put to use. Additionally, our student services team, led by Ernest Johnson, secured close to $200,000 of mental health grants, which are going to support a 3rd social worker in the district. So more details will be shared in the coming months, but it's significant to note that Pennridge received almost double the amount of the closest district listed here, which was Central Bucks. So kudos to our finance team.
Just wanted to add, that fact jumped out at me that our district earned twice as much in grants than all the neighboring districts around here. So that's quite an accomplishment. Obviously, extra dollars for our kids. So thank you to Dan and Sean and your team and everyone who else participated in that. That's awesome.
Okay, now, personal old business?
That was new business.
Oh, sorry. I was
New business.
So I just want to bring up one thing, sorry, and Carolyn, I've really enjoyed our time on the board together, so it's not totally personal, but I want to bring up the HOAs and like the PTOs and still wanting to have some discussion, and maybe we can put it into a committee meeting. This might be one of our earliest meetings, so it doesn't have to be long, but I still feel like the money, the HOAs or PTOs from all of our schools, they use district resources with emails, and we do a lot of fundraising, and I know y'all do great things. I'm not saying that you don't. I just really still feel with all the money coming in and what we use it for, because I know sometimes we get emails on if it's going to a playground or if it's doing this, and it's great, but I would love if we could have it somewhere public that just shows, the budgeting of the money coming in and then where it's going, just so that it's out there.
Okay, moving on to public comment. Ross, you're up again.
It's on.
No, it's not.
It's not on. Now it's on. Ross McLennan, Hilltown. I don't understand the concern about liberal bias. The books were there before. Our kids read a lot of the books. There was no problem. The books were highly considered. Many of these are award-winning. You took them out, now we're putting them back. So I don't know what the concern is about the liberal bias. I just wanted to make that comment. Thank you.
Laura Foster.
Laura, you struck it. So, Jordan, I love that you're asking for accountability for the teachers as they are looking to bring resources into their classrooms. Could you kindly apply that same accountability to you? Would you kindly tell us what books you decided to ban? We'd all enjoy a list of it. It'd be very helpful for us. It's very interesting that you're all about this now, and like a year ago, you did the complete opposite. You should not be on this board. You should not be representing anyone in public education. It goes for you too, Ricky, both of you. So, I'm interested in how, this place of asking for evidence, right? Of asking for a teacher to write down their name and tell me what books that you are recommending, right? And then you kind of go on to like wanting to have, talk about what you want in science classes, right? So like creationism, is that what you want? Anti-climate change, is that what you want? Do you not understand that evidence is a part of science? Does someone here want to tell her what science is about? Because science is about evidence. It's not about putting your political dogma or your religious beliefs on my child. I don't care about your creationism. I want my child to learn evolution. And pretty much certain that the AP test wants that too. So if you want to put in something about politics or about your religion, why don't you put it in like a religious class? If you can't understand that basic concept, maybe you need to go back to school and try to understand what science is and what research is. Thank you.
Announcements. 2 separate executive sessions were held on July 17th, 2024. One to discuss litigation and other legal issues, and the second session to discuss the superintendent's evaluation under Section 708A, 1 and 5. An executive session was also held on July 30th to discuss litigation under Section 708A, 5. On August 19th, 2024, to discuss personnel matters under Section 708A1, and prior to tonight's meeting, to discuss real estate under Section 708A3. The next school board meeting is scheduled on Monday, September 23rd, 2024. A motion to adjourn?
Motion.